Hey team, so today's video I want to go over is running 3 times a week enough for marathon training? I think it is. I think that a lot of people, a lot of athletes can get legitimate results training for a marathon on running 3 times a week. Again, it depends on the schedule of the athlete, it depends on the goals of the athlete. Again, if you're trying to run a marathon and just try to prepare to run your first marathon, or to get out and get enough fitness built up leading into your marathon, I think 3 times a week is definitely sufficient. I think the faster that you're trying to run, and if your goal is to become a professional in the sport or qualify for a Boston Marathon qualifying standard, or to achieve an Olympic trial standard, I don't think 3 times a week is enough. I think focusing, most professionals, the majority of my career as a novice when I first started running in high school, and then when I went through college and became a professional runner myself, I was running a minimum of 6 days a week, and most of the time it was 7 days a week. So again, it depends on the overall goal of the athlete, what it is that they want to do. But 3 days a week, if that's all you have, focus on, preferably 16-week build-up. Optimal, in my opinion, is anywhere from 20 to 24 weeks in length training for a marathon, because again, you're not in a rush. You're not trying to get in great anaerobic shape in a matter of a few weeks, which is not going to happen because it does take time. The marathon is much more complex. You have to pay attention to so many other factors versus training for a 5K or a 10K. They're both very demanding events, but a 5K and 10K is much more especially the 5K is much more anaerobic in nature versus a marathon, or the 10K, which is more aerobic in nature, which is more focused on, it's a longer race, but it's not as aggressive and fast as versus an event like the mile or the 5K. So I think if all you have is 3 days a week, focus on getting one easy run in, one tempo run in a week, and getting that long run in. So like I said, there's a lot of athletes out there that are working full-time jobs. They're in school, they're balancing family responsibilities. They got a lot of stress on themselves, and I've been there too over the years, and maybe 3 days is all they have. So you can definitely maximize your training in a matter of training 3 days a week. You just have to streamline what you're doing. I think that the majority of the training plans I have on RunDreamAchieve.com have 1 day off, so it's basically 6 days of training. But keep in mind, if you see a training plan on the website that interests you, you can always alternate and take out one or two of the easy days, and just take those days off and just focus on getting in the tempo run or getting in a track session and the long run in during your build-up. 3 days a week definitely can get legitimate results. It's also how long of a build-up you're training. So if you only have 3 days a week, I think definitely you can get some phenomenal results the longer you train. If you're trying to rush your fitness and you're starting from scratch, and you don't have any aerobic base built up, and you're trying to get prepared for your marathon in a matter of 8 weeks, that's going to be very, very difficult off of even 3 days a week. Now again, if your goal is just to run a marathon, 8 weeks of training and running 3 days a week is definitely still good enough to get the job done. And I still think that the things that we don't factor in a lot of times is having somebody else to keep you held accountable when you're out in the race. When most of the time we train on our own. If you're lucky enough and you have some athletes to train with that are faster than you during the week, that's definitely great. But going into a marathon tapered down and rested will definitely help you run a fast marathon off of running 3 days a week over preferably a minimal amount of time. I would recommend is 8 weeks. An optimal amount of time is anywhere from 16 to 24 weeks in length. Again, the longer you can prepare, the better, because again, you're not in a rush to get in great anaerobic shape. You're providing ample time to adapt to the hard training that you're doing. And again, it takes time to get to a point where you can do longer tempo runs that I talked about in other videos, especially training for the marathon distance. It's already hard enough to do a 2 to 3 mile tempo run versus doing an 8 to 14 mile tempo run, which we gradually work the athlete into doing in the marathon training plans that I have on RunDreamAchieve.com. A big mistake a lot of athletes make is especially training for marathon distances, is their tempo runs are too short. A lot of times they're going off of feel, when heart rate monitor training might be a better option for them. Wearing a heart rate monitor and focusing on staying at the correct heart rate zone, rather than just thinking that you're running fast enough, but really you're still running too aerobic. So heart rate monitor training is a big tool that's there for you. And I personally use the Garmin 245. I've used various models over the years, but if you want to check out the Garmin 245, I have the link below this video if you're interested in that. But that's my answer. I do think that 3 days a week is sufficient. I think that if you focus on focusing on an easy run, focusing on getting a gradually extending the duration of your tempo runs during your build up, and doing that long run and making sure that you're not just running long, slow, and easy every single weekend, you can combine your training together and really narrow in what you want to do in a matter of 3 days. But I think too, making sure that you're practicing hydration, you're making sure that you're drinking during those long runs. Sit water bottles out every 3 miles or every 5 kilometers, so that when you on your way out, you can grab them and practice drinking, rather than just jumping into a marathon and thinking that you can run 42.2 kilometers or 26.2 miles off of just the amount of a Dixie cup or two. A big mistake athletes make, I made it myself earlier in my career, is thinking that you can run a marathon without fluids. Or you might be able to get away with that in a 5K or maybe even a 10K, but you're not going to get away with it running a marathon, trying to run that far of a distance, taking in the equivalent of about a Dixie cup or two. I mean, those things are small. It's not you need to focus on drinking and making sure that, even if you have to stop briefly to stop at the aid stations and drink about 2 to 3 of those Dixie cups at each station, it's much better to do that than to get 32 kilometers into the race or 20 miles into the race and just be dehydrated and feeling like crap because you didn't focus on getting your calories and didn't focus on ingesting those gels and taking in enough fluids during the race. Make your mistakes in training first. Make training the most difficult part of your preparation. The race itself is not the day to be stressed out and to be overly tense. It's the day of celebration. You've worked hard for several weeks or several months leading into that build up to your goal marathon race. So it's the celebration of all that. Let your competitors be tense. Let them be overly nervous. It's okay to have a little bit of nerves on race morning, but just be confident in yourself, be confident in what you've done, and you're going to get great results. Always think about leverage rather than high volume. High volume, more mileage isn't always the answer. So 3 days a week, you may be able to get much better results than somebody that's working, training 6 to 7 days a week. So yes, you definitely can get some great results of training 3 days a week for the marathon distance. Again, if your goals are much more stringent, you're trying to run under 2 hours and 30 minutes, or maybe you're trying to qualify for the Olympic trials, or you're trying to earn a Boston Marathon qualifying standard, you may have to try to work in an additional run or two and try to get in 4 to 5 runs during the week. Sometimes we have to work around our schedules and do the very best that we can. I've had many times over the years where I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do a track workout by myself in the winters or other parts of the year, and have to work 12-hour shift, and then and I would go out and run again in the evening. So again, you have to really go back to your why, what it is you're trying to do in this event. How badly do you truly want to succeed? And if your schedule only allows you to get 3 days in a week, then make sure that you're making the most out of those 3 days a week that you possibly can. So I hope this video was helpful for y'all. Feel free to leave me a comment, like this video, share it with your friends, family, coworkers. Helps the channel grow, and other athletes and other people out there that are trying to get in better shape and that are seeking answers, that are seeking advice, can get that. And I hope that my videos and RunDreamAchieve.com helps you all get new personal bests and to train smarter using leverage, because I think enough of us already know how to work hard, but working hard isn't always the answer. The hardest working athletes don't always get the best results. A lot of times the smartest athletes do. The ones that are training the smartest do. So I wish you all the best. Keep me posted on your training. Feel free, like I said, to comment under any of my videos. You all know that I will definitely reach back out to you and comment and respond to your messages. So look forward to hearing about your new personal best, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.